Another cold and chilly night here in downtown St. Louis, but we've got a big crowd expected for game number 2. The Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals tonight on FSN Midwest. As always, thanks for being with us. That's Al Verboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to the broadcast booth. If you like electrifying young pitchers, as we just said, you're going to see one tonight. Johnny Cueto, only 22 years of age, and people around baseball are saying this guy is special.
Well, in his Major League debut, he struck out 10 without a walk. That's the first time anybody has done that in Major League history. He has 3 exceptional pitches, but great mound presence, and he's not afraid. That's a good combination for the Reds.
And for the Cardinals, it's Joel Pinheiro. Last time out, Al, he was sharp.
He was very sharp, and we hope that continues. He's gotten better each time out, so we hopefully there's a little room for improvement and another win.
All right, we're just about set to go. It is game number 2 here on FSN Midwest. A sense of relief over the weekend, you bet. The first of the season for Troy Gloss. Jim will visit with Troy when we come back. Back at Busch Stadium as we get you set for Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest, and with Troy Gloss. And Troy, you got your first home run the other day. The extra base hits are coming. The RBIs are coming. How much more comfortable at the plate are you now than you were earlier in the season?
Well, I think, the extra base hits and the home runs are fine. But, as long as you're having productive at-bats, scoring runs, driving runs, the numbers on the scoreboard don't really matter except those two.
How much more comfortable are you now? I mean, are you close to where you want to be?
Well, obviously it's always a work in progress. Everybody always is throughout the course of the season. But, last couple of days have been better. And, hopefully we can continue that for a while here.
Wanted to ask you about your eyes. You've been tearing up and working with different things to try to come to terms with that. What is the solution? Have you settled in on one?
Well, it's always it's always working with, there's different environmental things going on. Obviously, allergies are high right now, and that's kind of what we're attacking at this point is the allergy issue, and maybe go from there. But hopefully that'll take care of it. And last night was fine, and hopefully tonight will be fine too.
Last thing, to come to a new team and to have you guys playing the kind of baseball you are, how much fun is that for you?
Well, winning baseball is fun no matter where you're playing, but certainly in a city like this, on a team like this, with a group of guys that we have here, they're it's a great group, fantastic bunch of guys. But we're trying to take one day at a time here. Play hard and see what happens at the end of the game. We're going to give 100% effort every single day, play hard every single night, and see where we end up at the end of the game. Sometimes we'll win, sometimes we won't, but the effort will always be there, and I think that's the most important thing.
Troy, thanks for the time.
All right, thank you.
Cardinal baseball straight ahead on FSN Midwest, but coming up next, we'll shine our spotlight on Randy Flores. It's time for another edition of the FSN Spotlight. And the spotlight shines on Cardinals left-handed reliever Randy Flores. The 32-year-old Flores is playing in his 5th season with the Cardinals after signing as a free agent with the club back in November of 2003. The Cardinals really weren't sure what they had gotten in Flores. In 2004, he was a PCL All-Star for the Memphis Redbirds. And when Steve Klein was injured in late August, Flores was here to stay, and he is not disappointed. He was originally drafted by the New York Yankees in the 9th round back in 1997. He's been with the Texas Rangers organization and also the Colorado Rockies. But it's with St. Louis that he has made a name for himself. His postseason resume has been remarkable. In 5 games in the Division Series, he has an ERA of 3. When it comes to the League Championship Series and World Series, his ERA in 7 combined games, 0. The 32-year-old is now considered one of the elder statesmen of the bullpen, and he looks towards closer Jason Isringhausen as a huge influence.
Getting to see him every day when things are going good and seeing him when things go bad is a treat because he handles adversity so well. One of the big lessons they try to teach you in the pen is to have a short memory, and he's the best at it. He comes to the field every day ready for that night's save opportunity.
While he has started in his pro career, it's being a situational lefty where he's best been suited. The lefty-lefty matchup.
With the way video's gotten now and the advanced scouting's gotten now, a lot of the work is done ahead of time. It's just your job to get in front of the TV, to get in front of your coaches and listen and carry that on the mound.
Flores' younger brother Ron, also a lefty, has pitched in the majors with the Oakland A's, and this offseason signed a minor league contract with the Cardinals. That's the Cardinals' Randy Flores on the FSN Spotlight. Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. Endless refreshment from start to finish. Bud Light keeps it coming. by Auto Tire. For the lowest prices in town, 26 locations to serve you. You ought to go to Auto Tire, the tire pros. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Geico Direct. A 15-minute phone call could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines, you're now free to be more productive. Visit southwest.com today. From the Metrolink, they file across the street into Busch Stadium. And as we said before, close to 40,000 last night. A little bit warmer tonight, but again, a cold evening here in St. Louis. And the first pitch taken outside by Corey Patterson. And here's our Rico starter for the Cardinals, Al, and that's Joel Pinheiro.
For a start, and I think the one thing we want to concentrate on is how effective he was in his last start, winning at Pittsburgh.
As you noted in that game, nothing, it seemed like, was over the middle of the plate. Everything was on the inside corner or the outside corner.
Right. In his previous two starts, he left a lot of balls in the middle of the plate, but he had good command on both sides of the plate. Command of his fastball, and the sinker was working well, and his breaking ball was doing what he wanted.
This guy at the plate was thought of as one of the top athletes coming out of high school in the state of Georgia. As he lofts this one into shallow center and drops in for a base hit. He's got tremendous speed. He was the 3rd overall pick back in 1998. And with Baltimore, he had 45 steals. So watch out for Corey Patterson at first. Let's meet Dusty Baker's lineup. Patterson, Keppinger, and Ken Griffey Jr., followed by Phillips, Dunn, Encarnacion, Votto, Bacco, and Cueto. Adam Dunn and his numbers against St. Louis. There's Dusty Baker, first season as the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and 15th overall. Number of years with the Giants and the Chicago Cubs, and now with the Reds.
He's having some fun right now as they've won 3 in a row and they've gotten out ahead.
It's 55 degrees, our game time temperature. On this road trip, the lineup has all of a sudden come alive. They're hitting .290. They've gone 3-1 on the trip, and overall this team is hitting .261. Jeff Keppinger has played in every game for Cincinnati. He is the hardest to strike out right now in the National League. Puts the ball in play. Keppinger hitting .311, couple of home runs and 13 RBIs. Troy Gloss is even with the bag over at third as they hold at first. That's Patterson over there. Yesterday was the first Game 1 win in a series this season for Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's a tough way to go about it when you lose the first game. Of course, this ball club hasn't been in postseason play for quite a while.
1995. And at that time, it was Davey Johnson who was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and then he was let go because Marge Schott didn't like him. And he wasn't the first.
Right. But, you know, they've had a big turnover, not only in field managers, but general managers. And now you kind of look for maybe some stability with Dusty Baker and Walt Jocketty.
I mean, to take it a little bit further, they've had 5 managers, 6 GMs in the last 6 years in Cincinnati. And it's 3-0 and a full list. Let's take a look at what you're talking about. They've had interim guys. They've had people they felt that they could count on for season after season. But go back to Ray Knight, 1996, and what's happened since then. And then the year before that was Davey Johnson, and the last time they made it into the playoffs. The 3-0 pitch. A strike, 3-1, and on deck, Ken Griffey Jr. Just not going to win like that, and they haven't drafted well. They didn't have anything set up in the Dominican to find guys like Johnny Cueto, which they did as a non-drafted free agent. Let's see if they want to do some running here on 3-1.
Usually try to play an aggressive style of ball.
There he goes, and it's taken for a ball. So the first 2 have reached with a single, a little bloop hit. And now the walk, and it brings in Ken Griffey Jr. The Cardinals defense tonight, as we go around the horn, brought to you by Auto Tire. Duncan in left and Keel in center. Schumacher is in right. Gloss, Isturis, Kennedy, and Pujols along the infield. Yadier Molina is behind the plate. Last start against the Reds was a win all the way back in 2002 for tonight's starter, Joel Pinheiro.
Not the start you would like right here, but still can get out this future Hall of Famer.
He loves hitting against the Cardinals. 22 home runs against St. Louis. And he is sitting on 597 in his career.
And all of a sudden, Pinheiro is not throwing the ball down the middle, but he's not throwing strikes either.
Career here at Busch Stadium, 14 games, 6 homers, 10 RBIs.
You said 22 home runs. He's the longest tenured Red now, 9 years playing for his hometown.
If he only could have stayed healthy, where would those numbers be? 13 times he has been on the disabled list. The 0-1 pitch. A swing and a miss, 0-2. Came over from Seattle from Mike Cameron, Brett Tomko, the former Cardinal, Antonio Perez, and Jake Meyer. And think about what Seattle had at one point. They had the big unit, Randy Johnson in his prime, A-Rod, and Ken Griffey Jr.
And they couldn't win.
Couldn't win.
Plus, they had a pretty good team surrounding them, too. Edgar Martinez, Buhner.
Even Omar Vizquel was there at one point. Loaded up with talent, yet they could not win. And their best seasons were when these guys left. Remember, they had that team with Lou Piniella that everybody thought they would win the championship. Down the right field line, and this ball is hooking, and it is just foul. Just foul. Nearly number 598 for Junior.
3 away from 600. And by foul, by how far? A little further than what we thought. But there's a nice souvenir for a young man. You remember that Hall of Famer?
You bet. Runners at first and second, a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes as Pinheiro steps off the pitching rubber. We're just underway here at Busch Stadium. 2-2. Ball hits the dirt. They'll throw it out. Brand new baseball for Joel. First overall pick back in 1987. Ken Griffey Jr. They shade him to pull. Remember, they used to put that big shift on for him, and with a runner at second base, you can't have it as pronounced as normally you see it.
And we've seen a few times where he'll take the ball to the opposite field, but predominantly the pull hitter. Pitching him in, and then back away.
And he missed.
I saw Molina set up away late. I don't know if you can do that right now with Pinheiro because he's not throwing enough strikes.
Missing location here early on.
Oh, he tried to set up inside, and then at the last second he moved outside.
Runners go on 3-2. A swing and a miss. Throw down to third. He almost threw it away. Double steal pays off for Dusty Baker. Second and third with 1 out. A strikeout, 2 steals. Patterson and Keppinger. And it brings in Brandon Phillips. Statistically, he's the most dangerous man in this lineup. The second baseman is batting cleanup, sandwiched between Junior and Dunn.
Awesome season last year. Became the second baseman with a 30-30 season.
The other, Alfonso Soriano, he did it 3 times, with the first ever in the National League. Little check swing and a foul ball. How close at third? Let's take a look.
It wasn't close at all, as Glass really trying to make sure he catches the ball and couldn't even think about applying the tag.
Runners at second and third with 1 out. Phillips was voted their MVP a season ago. Off to a good start. Hit to Gloss, and now in a rundown is Patterson. Molina won't catch him. You can
Just
guarantee
running back, but you're allowed Phillips to go to second base.
And all of a sudden, he runs out of the baseline. He's out. And here's another one. And this one will be out. Just run him.
Yep, they're going to get out of this. So.
And that's it. And the Cardinals get out of the inning. Patterson ran out of the base lane. He was out. And then another rundown. What a play. This is why we pay you the big bucks to figure out what the heck happened here.
Well, it's a brain cramp. There you get the runner trapped off. That's the lead runner, Patterson. Now he's in a rundown. Now the Keppinger goes to third base. Now all of a sudden, all he has to do right here is stay at third base. Now, Patterson knows he's out, so he peels off, but Keppinger went back to second. So they get a run down here. Now, watch as Molina throws this ball to Schumacher, your right fielder, telling you what to get in there, and then as Turris tags him out. But how we always talk about, there's always a place for somebody to go, and Schumacher demonstrated as the right fielder gets in a rundown in the infield.
What a crazy play to end the top of the first, and here's Skip Schumacher. And Skip is off to a great start after that long over streak, but he has been a bright spot at the top of this lineup. Our Rico starter is Johnny Cueto. First time we have seen him. We've heard an awful lot about him. We talked about it in the pregame show. His numbers brought to you by Rico. Record of 1-2 in his 5 starts. For being a guy that throws hard, doesn't walk many.
Well,
a lot of strikeouts.
You know, his first 2 starts, he was exceptional. First start, he struck out 10 in 7 innings without walking a man. The first time in Major League history a pitcher made his debut striking out at least 10 and not walking. Second start, he struck out 8 in 6 1/3 innings and didn't walk a man. So he had 18 strikeouts, no walks. Now it's 31 strikeouts in 33 innings with only 5 walks.
The 2-2 pitch. Schumacher just guides it up the middle. Nice piece of hitting. And a base hit to start the game for St. Louis. Let's meet the Cardinals lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Schumacher and Adam Kennedy in the 2 spot tonight. We'll talk about that. Then Albert Pujols, Ankiel, Gloss Duncan, Molina, Pinheiro, and Turris. Adam Kennedy swinging a hot bat the last 11 games, close to 400. So he jumps up in front of Pujols.
Well, and a lot of little things. You seem like you have a little more balance towards the end of the lineup. And Kennedy, you know, is a guy, good candidate for the 2 spot. The only thing maybe in Tony's liking is he doesn't have the power. And you have 3 of the first 4 batters are all left-handed. Remember, they have 3 left-handed relievers.
So Kennedy in the 2 spot tonight in this lineup for Tony La Russa. And with more on that, let's check in with Brent. Brent.
Yeah, Dan, this is a rare spot. First time this year that Kennedy has been in the 2 spot. Of course, Tony likes to put Pop up there. Tony said the only difference is you just slide that power down in the lineup a little bit. Kennedy said there really is no difference. No matter what, you got to handle the bat well when a man is on base in front of you.
Here comes a 1-0 pitch and a swing and a miss. Nope, he just got a piece. 1 ball, 1 strike. You have a lot of room, too, Brent, to that left side as the third baseman Encarnacion plays in. And we know Kennedy can hit it to the opposite field, and this guy throws hard. He's been clocked at 94, 95. He considers himself a field hitter. What exactly is a field hitter?
Well, we kind of have to ask him, but I think he feels for the ball. You know, he's not just he's a very unorthodox hitter, but he's had success throughout his major league career hitting with his style. And the one thing you like about him is he'll feel for the ball. If it's out of way, he'll take it the opposite field. He's kind of a little line drive hitter, but you know, he's just not see him kind of go out there. He doesn't really let the bat fly. You know, he's not swinging for power all the time. He's kind of, you know, feeling for the pitch and where his location is and trying to guide it to where a fielder is not.
Now on 2-1, young pitcher out there. Would the Cardinals want to do some running here? Maybe a hit and run. With Skip Schumacher over at first, he has 3 steals on the year.
Well, surprisingly, Baco has been exceptional throwing out runners this year.
Not running, and the pitch is taken for a ball. Pujols on deck.
You got to remember, too, you got a strikeout pitcher out there. Now, his first 2 starts, he was exceptional. Maybe hitters are trying to learn something about him. And, you know, a guy that doesn't walk many, on a 3-1 pitch, you got to assume you're probably going to get a strike.
And Kennedy takes ball 4. This is the matchup I've been waiting for all day. Pujols and Cueto. We hear so much about Johnny Cueto, but what about the game's best and Albert Pujols in this matchup here in the first?
Well, both born in the Dominican Republic. We know Albert left when he was a teenager, but Cueto also, they just say he has tremendous poise on the mound. You can't scare him, so he's probably looking forward to this matchup also.
Chipper Jones leads the league in hitting. He leads the world in hitting. He's close to 500, but Pujols is second in the National League at 382. First pitch taken outside. Chipper Jones is hitting 433.
And that's what Albert's hitting in his 9-game hitting streak. Just think about that. How hot he's been is what Chipper Jones has hit for the season.
It's unreal what kind of start he has had for the Atlanta Braves. John Smoltz, by the way, goes on the DL today for Atlanta. Oh, challenged him with the fastball, and he blew it by him. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Cueto, you know, he's a Dominican, but look at how he just gives you all the motion and the follow through, and you know, puts everything, maximum effort behind it. But when you see that kind of that fielding, that's an awful lot of arms and legs thrown at hitters. That's why they really got to concentrate on the release point.
The 1-1 pitch, and Pujols hits one out to deep center field. Patterson is back. Schumacher will tag up, and the throw comes back into second base. So first and third with 1 out. You know, watching that Exmo follow through of Cueto reminds me of Pedro Martinez and the way that he would finish with his delivery. As let's meet the Cincinnati defense. Around the horn brought to you by Auto Tire. Dunn in left, Patterson in center. Ken Griffey Jr., a 10-time Gold Glove winner. He's on right. Encarnacion, Keppinger, Phillips, and Votto along the infield. Paul Bacco is behind the plate. A problem for the Cardinals so far, no doubt, has been men left on base and trying to drive them in with runners in scoring position. They're getting runners on. They're just not bringing them in.
Right. And that is just something where you still have a bunch of young, inexperienced major league hitters here. And a lot of times they put too much pressure on themselves. They grind that bat, trying to turn it into sawdust.
And Keel with a base hit. Right field. 1 run is in. Kennedy on his way to third. They're going to wave him in. Relay to the plate. That is going to put it in the back pocket. 2 RBIs for Keel, and it's 2-0 St. Louis here in the first.
Now the Reds had the same situation. Runners at the corners, less than 2 outs, and they hit into an unorthodox double play. Nail the runner here and then, but now the Cardinals turn, and Ankiel jumps on a pitch, lines it over the head into right center, a base hit, and then an error by Griffey, allowing the second runner to score.
Ankiel, the double. The 2 RBIs, he's up to 14, and here is Troy Gloss. Ankiel, the runner at second base. Ooh, and a big cut and a swing and a miss.
96 miles an hour by that fastball.
No glasses tonight for Troy Gloss.
I asked Troy about it, and he said it's just going to be a situation where, you know, it could change from night to night, from at bat to at bat, whether the eyes become watery.
And I guess it's a situation he's dealing with some allergies here in town, and depending on the temperature and how windy it is at the ballpark, that's what's going to affect his vision.
Sure. And relatively cool night, and it only affects him at night, and cool night, you would think he wouldn't have a problem.
Exactly. That ball scoots away from Bacco.
Wow.
And Ankiel ahead for a slide into third. He just flat out missed it.
Well, you know if he was crossed up or he just had late movement. Scored a wild pitch. I don't know why. It looked like it was, you know, most of the time the ball hits the dirt automatically, but look at this. That should be a pass ball. Slides in here. Does he have enough? That is really slow-mo.
Gloss with a base hit out to left. And the Cardinals lead it 3-0. Ankiel scores. I mean, he almost pulled a Willie Mays Hayes on that slide.
Very good.
Keep coming. RBI number 19 for Troy Gloss. He's on pace for 100.
You know, they wet down this infield right before the game time, and maybe it was a little wet little wetter over at third base as you reach out there sliding head first, and he does a belly flop and just had enough momentum to propel him to third base.
Is ready for Baco to throw to third, and all of a sudden Encarnacion keep coming.
Dick Pohl is out to see his young hurdler. They're saying his first 2 starts were exceptional, really got baseball talking. The last 2 were not as good. And right now, this has got to be probably his worst start.
Applebee's pitch count. Cardinals lead it 3-0. 19 pitches so far, 10 balls, 9 strikes. We did not expect that. And this is Chris Duncan.
And isn't it the beauty of baseball? The only man that Cueto has retired is the great Albert Pujols.
That was a deep fly ball to center, but he got him.
You like this? You like Duncan hitting down here, right?
I do. I think it balances, and you said it best. I think it balances your lineup, because right now, when you look at the bottom portion of the lineup, there's some outs in there.
Well, or sometimes there's just singles. And so it gives Tony, he sacrificed a little power in the 2 spot, but he's got a lot in the 6 spot.
Strike 2. A difference in the game last night, the play by Encarnacion over third, and also it was about this time at night where Duncan would lose that ball and left. And it wasn't just Duncan. Isturis couldn't find it, and Keel struggled with it, and it dropped.
And 2 things, Dan. You know, Encarnacion made a couple nice plays. You know, he has already committed 8 errors.
Right.
And I had some people tell me today something, well, why don't we move those lights? Well, it wasn't the lights that they lost the ball in. They lost it in the dusk. Lights do not take effect early in the evening. And it's not the first time, probably won't be the last time that outfielders, that's why you always see infielders trying to point, trying to guide and help the outfielders out. But as you said, Isturis couldn't find it either.
A lot of pitches in this first inning, and a lot of those from Cueto have been up, especially the fastball. That one was down and a foul ball.
He's got a late breaking, biting slider. He's got a changeup that Mario Soto has taught him.
Mario Soto was a hard thrower back in the early to mid 80s for Cincinnati.
But you know, he was the first guy with a real power arm that came up with a great changeup.
And they say that's Cueto's MO. I mean, he's got the breaking ball, the slider, but it's fastball and a great changeup.
Well, the slider too is a great weapon for him, because you know he has late break to it. And it was interesting what Brantley was telling us in the pregame show about how Mario Soto got him to think that, hey, you're not giving in when you're throwing a changeup. That is another significant weapon. It's as good as your slider, if not better.
Here comes another 1-2 pitch. And on the 9th pitch of the at-bat, Duncan strikes out. Jeff was also talking about the former Reds and Cardinals closer who works on the television side for Cincinnati, that he faced Ken Griffey Jr., Brandon Phillips, and Adam Dunn in a spring training game, a little inner squad, and he struck out all 3. And all of a sudden, people said, yeah, this guy is for real. They knew about him. He's only 22. He's been twice the organization's pitcher of the year, but really opened up some eyes early on in spring training.
And kind of like how he did it, you know, the word, you know, he just acted like he belonged out there. You see him in the clubhouse, and he's, you know, he's very quiet, doesn't say a word. They say Cordero, their new closer, has really taken him and under the wing and really guide the young Dominicans.
On the outside corner for strike 2 on Molina. Pitch was 95 miles an hour on the black. 3 hits in the inning and a walk, 3 runs. Molina guides it out to right center field. That's going to get down. Griffey will get it back to the infield. They'll hold up Troy Gloss over at third, and brings Pinheiro to the plate and a chance to help his cause. Have to wonder if Oquendo was tempted to send Gloss with Pinheiro coming up.
Well, usually Oquendo's going to challenge everyone, so he obviously was tempted. Ball down and away, and they take it that way, the opposite field. Molina can get to second base. You see that concentration, head going right down on point of contact. Gloss coming around here, and Oquendo definitely holding him up.
2 outs, 2 on for Pinheiro. It's a situation where even if he would have gotten thrown out at home plate, you almost don't mind it with Pinheiro up. Make them make the play. Originally he was sending him, and then at the last second held him up.
Well, and that's how Oquendo is. You know, he's going to always err on the side of aggression. So he's always going to be thinking and want that guy to run hard because I'm going to send you. But then at the last second, when he sees the second baseman get the cutoff throw, is when he held him up.
Cardinals will strand 2, but they pick up 3. Big inning in this first against Cueto. 3-0 St. Louis as we move to the top of the second. Adam Dunn, Edwin Encarnacion, and Joey Votto for Cincinnati. Pinheiro gets out of the jam in the first on an odd play, and the Cardinals capitalize in their half, and they pick up 3 against Cueto. St. Louis next off day will be Thursday, and then on Friday night we welcome the Chicago Cubs to St. Louis. And good seats, by the way, are still available. A little bit surprising with the Cubs in town.
Well, but I think a lot of them were returned, so people thought they were sellouts, and they're not.
Adam Dunn off to a slow start. 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, and came in hitting under 200 at the start of this series, now at 208.
Ben Sheets is throwing for Milwaukee against Jason Marquis. And it's 1-1 right now in the bottom of the second, but Marquis is hitting with runners at the corner and 1 out.
Bottom of the 7th, the Phillies lead San Diego 2-1 as Greg Maddux is trying to pick up win number 350. Third time trying to get number 350. He's one of the guys that really reinvented himself, didn't he? He first came up and how he pitched to what he does now.
Well, he's just, you know, I mean, he's such a student of the game. I've always said that if you're an advanced scout, I just watch how Maddux pitches, dissects hitters.
Strikeout of Dunn.
Yeah, much better command from Pinheiro right there and in the strike zone.
I was talking with Keith Moreland the other day, and he was the catcher, the first ever start for Greg Maddux. And he said it was just amazing to watch how he would go about his business then and what's going on now. Really reinvented himself, but mentally was always into everybody's start. Just a great student of the game.
And you've seen him in street clothes, haven't you?
Oh, sure.
I mean, looks like he's, you know, would be an accountant or something. Wears little glasses, not very big, but boy, you talk about a heart and competitor.
What are we going to say about Greg Maddux and what he was able to do during the steroid era and able to get 350 plus wins? There's a check swing and a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Encarnacion.
Well, I'd say he learned how to get big muscle-bound guys out.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Encarnacion with really the play of the game. That diving stop to his left late in the ball game last night.
I remember he had a couple hits, couple RBIs. One of them was the benefactor of a dusk ball.
Leads her club in home runs. He's got 6, second in RBIs with 14.
Kind of an underappreciated player, too.
Todd Wellemeyer made the start last night for the Cardinals, and Yadier Molina was saying first couple of innings just did not look comfortable, and we were talking about that. He just didn't look right, did he?
No, but he eventually battled through it and gave you 6 solid innings, gave his team a chance to win, just fell a little short.
2-2 is pop foul and out of play. Cardinals picked up 3 runs in the bottom of the first. They lead it early on here in St. Louis.
Yesterday they trailed 4-0, and then they battled back, got 3, but fell short. Had their chances. They stranded 10.
Question around town that I get is, Are the Cardinals going to hang around? I think the answer is yes, because their pitching has been that good so far. Can it hold up, I think, is the better question.
I think we're starting to get the starting pitching really got to be impressed with how they have gone deep enough into ball games, particularly Adam Wainwright. But they're going deeper in the game, take a little pressure off the bullpen, but we're not scoring that many runs.
Hardy's hot pitch, the strikeout of Adam Dunn to start the second inning.
Watch this splitter is down and away. Great action down and away. Big power hitter is going to be fooled by an off-speed pitch a little bit anyway. There you see the grip and you see the slide down and away.
There's Joey Votto, the first baseman for Cincinnati. 133 games a season ago. Their AAA affiliate in Louisville had 92 RBIs, hit close to 300. And he said he never, ever watched a Reds game while in the minor leagues. He said, I wanted to experience the Great American Ballpark in person. I want to see it on TV. I want to see it when I get there in a call-up. And that's what he got, and he impressed.
He was rated as the third best prospect in their organization. Cueto was number 4.
Nice to see Dusty Baker back in the National League Central Division.
And how about the Central Division? I mean, everybody always talks bad about it, but I think it's improved.
I agree with you. The first month is any indication, it's much improved. Most people looked at the Cubs as being the team to beat. Milwaukee right there with Chicago. A lot of people, though, looked at the pitching that Dusty had, even though it was young, as a chance for them to hang around, and the middle of their lineup too.
Well, I think everybody said if they get any kind of pitching, they're going to be a force. And now, I mean, their bullpen is very solid. That was their Achilles heel in the past.
3-1 now the count.
But they can score runs in that ballpark.
National League Central Division, 16-9 are the Chicago Cubs. The Cardinals a game out at 16-11. We saw that fan last night have a tough night. What about this fan? This is tonight. Ouch! Now that's going to leave a mark on a cold night.
Yeah, but it's only right above the ear. Ouch.
Not only do you get hit on the head, but you're still wearing that shirt.
And you lost the, well, that shirt might help it. Ease the pain. It's not what you want to do after you get a 3-run lead.
That's 3 walks now here in the early goings for Joel Pinheiro. Be sure to join the Chevy Cardinals Crew Kids Club featuring Adam Wainwright. $20 gets you tickets, gear, and autograph party on September 27th with the Cardinal Hurler. Memberships going fast. 345-9600 or stlcardinals.com to find out more. Well, normally you get to this spot in the lineup and you're thinking, all right, I've got the 8th place hitter, then the pitcher, but Paul Bacco is off to a terrific start. He's hitting .324, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, and an on-base percentage of over .400.
And he's supposed to be their backup.
They've got 3 catchers on their roster. Valentin is the switch hitter and a really good pinch hitter. That's one, and then they also have David Ross, who was out earlier today at the ballpark. He's been dealing with a sore back.
And he just was reinstated from the disabled list last Wednesday. Missed a lot of spring training too.
Out here trying to throw from behind home plate about 2 o'clock, and you could see it was a struggle for him, really dealing with that sore back. First pitch swung on and missed by Paul Bacco.
So Bacco getting playing time, making the most of it. He's also thrown out 6 of 8 runners.
Well, that's why you stick him in there. In the air to center field, going back and making the catch is Ann Keel. Something that we've talked about, Al, is the outfield arms for St. Louis. Tonight you have Duncan in left, Rick Ankiel in center, and Schumacher is in right. And Ankiel, just watching him even on that last play, takes a few false steps in, then goes back, and even on his back heel, if you want to test him with his arm, it's exceptional. He still might gun you out.
Well, he's got very good throwing accuracy. Same thing for Schumacher.
Here's Cueto. He is 0 for 9. Grounder slowly hit. Troy Gloss is there. First 2 innings, and Cincinnati has stranded 3. We are midway through 2. The Cardinals lead it by the score of 3-0. Tough night for that guy. Ouch. Ouch. Cardinal baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by your St. Louis area Kia retailers. Kia, the power to surprise. And by Aflac. Aflac, ask about it at work. Cardinals pick up 2 RBIs from Keel. Another one from Troy Gloss back in the first. They lead it by the score of 3-0. Sports Ultimate Nightly Highlight Show is here. It's the FSN Final Score. All the day's highlights in the NBA, NHL playoffs, and around the majors they'll go. Following our post-game show, the FSN Final Score. No Brendan Ryan again tonight. Cesar Turris, the switch hitter who is really struggling, hitting 194, but he did pick up the RBI double last night. Just 1 month in. See where the numbers will be at the end of 6 months. First pitch is taken low and in the dirt.
What is alarming is the switch hitter batting from the left side, 158.
250 from the right side. The 1-0 pitch. That's why I thought possibly you'd see Brendan Ryan tonight. Or did you know on Cesar Turris? A big fan of salsa music and dancing.
To the salsa, I would assume.
Salsa music and dancing.
I would think you'd be a big fan of salsa.
Dip my chips?
Other than the dipping.
Well, you're saying the music.
A little to the merengue.
The what?
The merengue.
The Monongahela?
No. The salsa.
There's a ground ball hit to Brandon Phillips for the first out. I got to be honest, to steal a line from our buddy Jim Hayes, not a big fan of salsa. But it's good to see Jim back from vacation.
Hey, I'm a big fan of Jim Hayes, and I'll tell you why. I thought you ran Joel out of town. I found out it was Jim Hayes now.
Yeah, Jim ran him out of town.
So the war's over. Jim and I are best of friends now.
That's great.
So I'll pick on Brent.
What are you going to pick on Brent for? Why? What did he do?
I'll think of something.
Here's Schumacher, and he shoots one foul. Strike 2. Jim is back from his first month of the season vacation. 0-2 the count on Skip Schumacher with Kennedy to follow. And another multi-hit game for Skip Schumacher. He's 2 for 2. Brent, your response to the Mad Hungarian.
I want to make sure I have this straight. The cat goes on vacation like 3 weeks into the season for a week. He's tanning himself on some beach somewhere. I got my nose to the grindstone doing double time every day at the ballpark, and somehow the Mad Hungarian decides to turn on me.
Correct. I don't like beggars.
Wow.
Beginning of the season, he begged me to be nice to him.
Well, I did stir up the drink a little bit. I thought that you and the cat, I just want to mix things up a little, make sure I got in your good graces right off the bat.
Nose to the grindstone in this awfully taxing position of sideline reporter or broadcaster up here in the booth.
Yeah,
come on, Brent. It's not really that tough.
It's very difficult. I mean, I'm constantly trying to break stories down here. I got cameramen trying to push me out of the way. Not easy, Dan.
Okay, Brent. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was one of his breaking stories. Of course, everybody forgot that Cat did go on vacation the weekend before the season started, too.
Oh, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. And he also had that time in spring training where he was, quote-unquote, working. He'd go down there for a week, but the first couple of the days, yeah, his nose would be the grindstone, digging for those stories and interviews, and then the rest of the week, he'd be on the beach.
Of course, Brent has come up.
That's what Brent told me.
Brent's come up with a lot of these did you knows.
And they are good. Kennedy fouls one back. Cardinals already with 5 hits. Not hit Cincinnati 5-1. They lead it 3-0. I talked with Tony La Russa tonight, and you'll see a portion of that interview tomorrow again on Friday, but one of the things we talked about, his relationship with Dusty Baker. He says it's always been a good one. Now, we've had our differences at times, and it's gotten heated at times, but a mutual respect is definitely there, and it really adds to the excitement of games played between the Cardinals and the Reds.
Well, Dusty ended his playing career playing under Tony in Oakland, and you and I, that's one of the things that we really like about the Central Division, all this
the vendettas.
I won't use that word, but maybe a little too harsh. But you know, starting to get a little drama with all these different teams now in the Central. A little, you know, add the spice to little sidebars to what might transpire in a game. That's always fun.
So what Walt said, we have some vendettas.
Yeah, but then he
pulled it back.
Pulled it back. So
that may have been a little too strong. 2-1 pitch, pulled foul, and it's 2-2. Walt is actually still living here in St. Louis and is holding organizational meetings, all the scouts, upper management team right here in St. Louis during this series. And we wish him nothing but the best. He did a great job here in St. Louis.
Asked him how Joey did yesterday in his ball game, and he said by the time he got there, he was already removed. They, I guess, Ladue High School had a very lopsided win. Joey got a couple hits.
7 playoffs in 13 years for Walt Jocketty. 2-2 the count on Adam Kennedy. 3-0 Cardinals. Well, one of the things that he has to do is figure out the pitching for that ballpark, but he's off to a good start because you have this young man on the mound, Cueto, who's only 22. Edinson Volquez is 21. They love him. He was part of the Josh Hamilton deal. You have Harang, who we'll see tomorrow, and he's been one of the most underrated guys in the National League. I mean, he's had back-to-back 16-win seasons.
Yeah, he's and very tough on the Cardinals, but you kind of wonder, and I know Josh Hamilton is off to a good start with Texas, but can Texas afford to keep on trading young pitchers?
Can anybody afford that, really?
Right. I mean, young pitchers, you better hold on to them.
And Al, really, that's been the trend now, as Kennedy hits it out to Griffey. A lot of topspin there on that uppercut swing, and it just sunk out to Ken Griffey Jr., and it's a 1-out base hit, and hit number 6 on the night. Well, let's take a look at our scouting report and our Ford keys to the outfield arms from Jose Oquendo.
They all have above average arms, but Dunn plays shallow, and then Patterson and Griffey play deeper than normal. And even though they have above average arms, Oquendo, because of center and right, they're playing deeper. He will send them if he has a chance. And even at the major league level, because very rarely do they take infield, a lot of these guys you can question where they're prepared to throw.
First and second for Pujols, and he'll pop it up. The first pitch that he sees, infield fly with 1 out, and it's put away. Albert is 0 for 2. He has reached base, by the way, 27 straight games to start this season. One of the guys that really stuck with Rick Ankiel was Walt Jocketty. Remember, Ankiel walked into Tony's office. He said, I just can't physically and mentally handle it anymore as far as pitching. And they gave him about 48 hours. He said, just hold on. Walt came into the office and said, we think you have talent to swing the bat. And give Walt Jocketty a lot of credit, because this is not a fluke. He is for real.
Yeah, Walt was the one that made that suggestion. Well, okay, we understand your sentiments on pitching, but how about becoming a position player? And there's only 2 guys that have won at least 10 games in the big leagues as a pitcher and hit at least 10 home runs in a season.
One's Babe Ruth,
and the other one is Rick Ankiel.
Well, Ankiel picked up 2 RBIs back in the first. Came around to score. 1 ball, 1 strike. We saw Ted Simmons last week, now a bench coach for Milwaukee, and at that time he was scouting. And he, like many people around baseball, thought Walt was crazy. there's no way this is going to work out. And he said he has proven me wrong. Ned Yost said the same thing. Little broken bat. That may drop. Phillips going out. Can't get it. A run will score. And Keel with his third RBI. And the Cardinals lead it 4-0. Great effort from Phillips. Just came up short.
Well, with 2 outs, the runner's going to be taking off on contact. And Ankiel picks up his third RBI of the game. You see how right off the top of the webbing of Phillips's glove, the bat, the barrel went into the stands. It went into the second layer. And hopefully everybody is okay. Saw it hit. It looked like it hit a lady on the arm, and she went flying up the stairs. But hopefully it was just more scared than hurt.
Troy Gloss, RBI single. Jim asked him on the pregame show about the home runs or lack thereof. He's got 1 on the season, picked that up against Houston. He said, right now, all I'm looking for is competitive at-bats, and I'm doing that.
Yeah, driving in runs and scoring runs. He's got a chance to overtake Albert in the RBI lead.
The 0-1 pitch. Duncan on deck.
Picked up his 19th RBI with a single in the first. Albert has 20. Yankees up to 15.
Another pitcher that we have yet to mention for Cincinnati, Homer Bailey. He's only 21.
He's their number 2 prospect.
Inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So there is young pitching now with Cincinnati. And he brought up an interesting point. Dusty Baker, Walt Jocketty, those 2 want to win and win right now. So do you sacrifice some of that future to go out and get yourself some players?
Well, I think you try to do everything you can to hold on to that young pitching, especially in that part.
Gloss into left center field. That's going to get down. Extra bases coming up. It's now 5-0. Will it be 6? They'll wave him in. The ball gets away. And Gloss is going to wind up at third. They're going to wave him in. Relay to the plate. He is safe, and Gloss scores.
I disagree with Oquendo's throwing arm of Adam Dunn, at least on this play. And when we show you a replay, you'll see what I'm talking about. But boy, that makes things a little more interesting here. 8 hits now for the Cardinals. That's what Cueto gave up in his last time. But watch this play. High fastball. He plugs a gap out in left center. No, 2 runners going to score. Gloss going to stop it at third, but he picked up that the ball got away. An errant throw out there in the outfield, and he circles the bases. Sliding feet first, he just lodges the ball. Watch Adam Dunn's throw here. Said he had a strong arm. I disagree on that play.
These fans want a curtain call. Exmo as Gloss slides in safely at the plate. 7-0 Cardinals. Hope you're enjoying this one in FSN HD high definition tonight. And the Cardinals are rolling 8 hits, 7 runs. And they have knocked out Johnny Cueto. So our call to the bullpen comes early tonight. It's brought to you by Chevrolet. And this is Mr. Bray for Cincinnati, one of their 3 lefties. T-Dub, Tom Williamson. There he is. Really a pioneer in sports television. And we mean that in all sincerity. He's a great guy, and we're honored that he is working on our crew tonight, Tom Williamson.
Bill Bray was recalled yesterday from AAA Louisville. He replaces Todd Coffey, who was sent out.
Well, we're talking about leaving guys on base. Cardinals aren't doing that tonight, and driving runners in too.
2 errors by right and left fielder adds to the scoring problem, but
1 through 5 in the lineup tonight. 7 for 9, 5 RBIs, 7 runs, a walk, and a couple of doubles. And normally you'd think, all right, Pujols has done a lot.
How about 4 and 5? And Q and Gloss have 6 RBIs.
And Pujols is 0 for 2.
Yeah.
The 1-2 pitch to Duncan. Strikes him out, but the Cardinals pick up 4. The air by Dunn, and Troy Gloss, he's probably still winded, sliding into the plate as we head to break. After 2, 7-zip St. Louis. Bank of America is the official bank of the St. Louis Cardinals. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Another cold night for baseball, but we understand it's supposed to be a little bit warmer tomorrow, around 75 degrees. And afternoon baseball is coming up tomorrow.
Be a lot of fun. Hopefully the Cardinals hold on here, win this game, and set up the rubber match.
Cardinals will face Aaron Harang. There's a look at Troy Gloss. He and Ankiel both with 3 RBIs. And we're back to the top of the lineup. Corey Patterson. Harang is 1-3, Al, but
good ERA.
Yeah, he's allowed 2 or fewer runs in 5 of his 6 starts. As we mentioned before, 16 wins back-to-back seasons.
And he's always pitched very effectively against the Cardinals. Remember that classic matchup a few years ago against Carpenter? 1-0, and Harang was the winner with the game-winning hit.
Pinheiro wears number 35, which used to be worn by Matt Morris. In the air to right center, Ankiel is there. And we understand that Matty Moe is probably going to retire. That announcement may come tonight. And if he does so, boy, he had a nice career.
Oh, yeah. 101 games as a Cardinal.
Lives in Big Sky, Montana.
Wins, 101 wins.
And was here during a very successful run with the Cardinals and Tony La Russa.
But you know, if he wanted to stick around, somebody always have to do is prorate the minimum. Pirates have to pay the balance, a little over $10 million.
I mean, what's that say about Pittsburgh when you're the worst team in the Central and you don't like to spend money anyway, and you're going to sit there and pay a guy over $11 million to walk away?
Well, it didn't make a lot of sense, and you understand why that GM is now no longer a GM.
This Turris. 2 outs. Cardinal fans, make sure to visit Busch Bash in the Ford Plaza. Prior to each Friday home game, Busch Bash features prizes, live music, and a Cardinals player. And this Friday, it'll be Kyle Lowe's from 6 until 6:30. For tickets, call 345-9000 or head to stlcardinals.com. And this Friday, it'll be Adam Wainwright making the start for the Cardinals, coming off 126 pitches. And I asked Tony about that, and he said, we're really not concerned. He said, there's different guys that you just don't worry about, he being one of them. Different situations lend itself to allowing a guy to go deeper into a game, but he also gets the extra day, too. Pitched on Saturday, now he'll pitch on Friday with the off day Thursday.
Yeah, he didn't really labor until he had 2 outs in the 9th inning. Walked his first 2 men, and pitch count kind of got up there. But you know, there are guys that throw 126 pitches and still be fresh. There's others that throw 50, 60 and be absolutely wiped out. And he's been going deeper and deeper in the game. Every start this year, he's pitched at least 7 innings.
Griffey, a swing and a miss and a changeup, and it's 2-2.
About Pinheiro, he knows what to do with this lead.
Going right at the hitters. Up by 7 runs. Ken Griffey Jr. almost picked up number 598 as he spoils that pitch. Cueto starts his first with 7 innings. And he had gone 6 1/3, 6 back-to-back 7-inning starts, but tonight an inning and 2/3. Swinging into history, Ken Griffey Jr.
That's a nice tribute by the Cardinals.
A flip to Pinheiro. Well, what do you want when you come to the ballpark? Hot dogs, popcorn, how about some pizza? They're making the pie right behind us. 7-0 St. Louis. This date in baseball history is brought to you by Schnucks. Jim Edmonds, back in '04, hits a walk-off home run. The 13th to beat the Phillies 5-4 at Busch Stadium. There's Scott Rowland, as you saw him on the pregame show. And Jim Edmonds off to a very slow start with San Diego. Right now, Edmonds the start of play tonight, hitting 164 with a home run and 6 RBIs. It was Tony La Russa's 700th win that day, wearing the birds on the bat.
Now he has more wins than any Cardinal manager in their illustrious history.
Past Red Shandy's. And the 1-1 pitch to Yadier Molina. Fly ball out to center. Corey Patterson there. Well, Tony and Sparky have a lot in common. Two very good friends. Tony La Russa, Oakland and St. Louis. Sparky Anderson, Cincinnati and Detroit. Only managers with 700 wins in both leagues and also World Series championships.
The only managers that have won a World Championship in both leagues.
And Tony still calls Sparky Anderson all the time. Sparky Anderson retired in 1995, and Tony La Russa, his first season with the Cardinals was in 1996.
There's a lot of managers that Tony sought out when he was young and tried to ask for advice, and Sparky was one of those.
Bray working to Pinheiro. 2 balls and no strikes. Jim Hayes has made his way to the booth.
Yeah.
Jim was recently on vacation.
That's been mentioned.
Hey, Doug, how you? I mean, Cat.
How you doing, Jim?
Let's tell the world that Al and I are fine.
He just said that.
I told him that.
Thanks for listening.
I will never go on vacation again.
You weren't on vacation. It was family business this time.
I had some family affairs, and I understand that Brent tried to throw me under the bus a little bit by saying he's been carrying the load.
Oh, and that's why I told him that you are my new man.
Good, we're good. Tell the world. And you know what? I don't know if the camera gets a
second time
shot
today.
But Stover says he's working hard down there. He's got 2 orders of nachos right there in the camera well.
Nose to the grindstone, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the
he's hiding the nachos. He's hiding the nachos right now.
Oh, look at he's oh, look. Oh. What
That's
a phony.
awful.
What a phony.
Yes, Brent, it's a baseball game. 3 outs aside.
3-2 to Pinheiro. Did you see that pregame show piece where Scott Rowland and David Eckstein were they miss you a little bit?
I miss them, but I don't miss them killing me for a vacation. It's like this little family affair that I had to go to has taken on a life of its own.
Well, Al and I are fine with it, and we're happy that you're back.
All right, I've been getting a lot of feedback. People saying, "What's wrong with you and Al?" I'm not kidding. Like, people take it deadly serious.
Al?
Yeah, well, I've already said 2 times today that I said the Cat is my man. Brent, you know,
Brent right now is writing down he was writing down his ad libs.
I think he's probably writing HR a letter.
Are you two okay? Let's clear it up
Brent
right
and I?
now. No, you and the
Tell Cardinal Nation we're okay.
The Cat is my new hero. I thought it was Dan that got Joel sent to banished to Kansas City.
No, that was me.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me.
So
I called HR.
Tight.
I called
You're
HR.
proud of that too. That's
I miss
great.
Joel.
And then I'm really now I'm after Brent because he was the one begging for me to give him some love.
Right, and to put us at odds after
Don't worry,
all
Brent.
we've
It
been
only
through?
took me 10 years. Go ahead.
All right, so we're good now.
We're good.
Cardinal Nation, we're good. Thank you for the forum, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jim.
One of Jim's better segments.
That's going to go down in one of the great segments of Cardinal baseball. See you on the postgame show, Jim. There's Brent.
Again, I'm down here. Jimmy's up there. And you tell me who's eating the nachos. He's just roaming around going from booth to booth bugging people.
2-1 hit out of play from Cesar Izturis. Any thoughts, Al?
I think we ought to get back to the game. It is 7-0 Cardinals. Even though Ray walked the pitcher.
2-2 on the Cardinals' 9th place hitter, Cesar Izturis. Well, I'm glad that's cleared up. Some sleepless nights last week or so when Jim's out of town.
Bray walked Pinheiro, and now he has gone 3-2 on Cesar Izturis. Cardinals picked up 3 runs in the first, 4 in the second. Runner goes, and the pitch is hit out to left field. That's a base hit. Izturis is aboard. His first base hit of the night. Well, you can join FSN Midwest as we go all access with the St. Louis University baseball team for an exhibition game against the Cardinals. From Lambert Airport to the clubhouse at Roger Dean Stadium, FSN goes inside the game as a collegiate team gets the chance to take on its big league idols. Tune in to Under the Lights SLU Baseball tomorrow at 6:30, only on FSN Midwest. Looking forward to that. What a thrill it must be for those college players to face the pros.
That was right before the start of the Grapefruit League, right?
Correct. First and second, one out for Skip Schumacher, who is 2 for 2 with a run scored. A lot of fans are wondering why not Brian Barton in that leadoff spot last night, but you might recall the numbers that Ludwig had against their starter Bronson Arroyo. Pretty good.
He was 4 for 7 with a home run.
2 doubles too.
Came a very tough night for him, but I told Ryan, I said, you know, if you play long enough, you're going to have another one of those. Just make sure you have the good ones in between.
You bet. 1 ball, 1 strike. Happy birthday to Erlene Vowell. And that is Larry's wife.
Yeah.
And Larry is a friend of ours, comes up to the booth every once in a while. Got a chance to see his grandson over the weekend, so happy birthday to Erlene.
I see him sitting in their seats, first row.
The 1-1 pitch. Schumacher. High fly ball out to Adam Dunn. And that's out number 2. Brings in Adam Kennedy. And so far this move has paid off, putting him in the second spot. He has walked and scored, also singled tonight.
2 runs in the thick of things, so see how he fares against the lefty.
Well, Pujols has reached base every game so far this year. It's not even close to his longest streak, which was set back in his rookie season, 40+. But this might be one of those nights, if you get more runs, you say, all right, Albert, day game tomorrow, relax. There's a base hit. And the bases will be loaded for Albert Pujols. They hold up Pinheiro, and he was stumbling there around third base. It might depend on what he does in this at bat right here.
Yeah, I think you really hope that he gets a base hit here, extends his hitting streak. Dick Pohl's going to come out and talk to his young lefty with the bases loaded, and Albert may tell him that there's no place to put him.
Sax jam.
I know you'd like to pitch around him, but I don't think that's going to work either. But, you know, Albert has reached base every game prior to this one, and he's got a 9-game hitting streak on the line. But, you know, if you asked Albert, he'd say, I'll play 9. But it might be best to take him out if we can add on here.
Visit the official online shop of the Cardinals at STLCardinals.com. Browse the largest selection of authentic team gear, including caps, t-shirts, jerseys, and more. Get your Cardinals gear straight from the source. Shop STLCardinals.com today. Pujols is 0 for 2. He's popped out to first, and he also flied out to center. He is stranded 4. First pitch is a strike. On base percentage coming into play tonight of .538 for Pujols. Drawn 28 walks, 7 of those intentional.
Both of them lead the major leagues.
The 0-1. That's strike 2. He's gone right at him.
Albert questioning a little bit, but asked Phil Cuzzy what that was. It's 1-1, not 0-2. And it looked like he called both strikes, but I thought he just put up 1-1. See now what he. scoreboard has 1 ball, 2 strikes, but we'll have to wait and see.
Bases loaded for Pujols, and big cut, fouled back. Trying to go inside on Pujols.
I don't think he wanted to go where he did, but got away with it. I think the count is actually 2-1. It's 2-1, not 1-2. Home plate umpire keeps on trying to put up the opposite.
And Pujols hits a rocket into the seats. Watch out.
Wow, Pinheiro. I don't know if that was anywhere close to Pinheiro, but he went ducking, and that ended up another rope into the stands. And look at Albert. I think he feels like he's getting locked in. Watch Pinheiro coming down the line in foul territory. I don't think it was anywhere close to him, but he was going to make sure he was getting underneath it.
Pujols out in front and pops it up a mile high. Keppinger Azeri just missed his pitch. The big cut by Pujols. Here it is as we head to break. 7-0 Cardinals. 7-0 St. Louis as we move to the top of the 4th. Cardinals baseball on FSM Midwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Pinheiro back to work. Brandon Phillips, Adam Dunn, and Edwin Encarnacion. Today, the 1-year anniversary. The tragic car accident of Josh Hancock, JH32, right by the DK 57. The Cardinal bullpen. Long way to go for Schumacher, and lands about a row or 2 deep. DK 57 and JH 32. You heard John Mozeliak on the pregame show and how they have taken different measures to make sure that that doesn't happen again, or at least try to.
Apparently Derek Gould had talked to Josh's father this morning, and I knew Josh's father before I knew Josh, and said hello to me, and once again we just can't express our condolences. And Josh was a good guy, loved life and lived it to the fullest, and just a tragic situation. And he's left a mark with all these players.
1-2 the count on Phillips. Catherine and Troy are celebrating their 15th wedding anniversary, watching Cardinals baseball tonight. Right here on FSM Midwest in high definition. 2-2 pitch. Just missed. Pinheiro walked 3 in the first 2 innings, but last inning was 1-2-3.
Tired of the last 5 men he's faced, and big lead like this, don't walk anybody.
Full count delivery from Joel Pinheiro. Hit out of play. Phillies have opened up a 7-2 lead on San Diego and Gray Maddox. And Fox Saturday Baseball will have the Cubs and the Cardinals this weekend here from Busch Stadium. Our first look at the Cubbies, the defending champs in the NL Central. Cardinals have Wainwright going in the first game. There's a leadoff walk here in the 4th. Game 2, Kyle Loge, and then Sunday, Todd Wellemeyer. Loge has been terrific. He and Wainwright already are a combined 6-1 on the season, first month in. Here's Adam Dunn following the leadoff walk. When the Cardinals got Pinheiro, they weren't sure where he might fit in. He was working the minor leagues of the Boston Red Sox and really just caught a break with St. Louis, parlayed that into a 2-year contract.
Well, the track record was a starter, and he was willing to go down to AAA to, throw, get his arm extended and stretched out to get into a rotation. And the Cardinals were in dire needs, and he showed enough last season to warrant that 2-year contract.
1-1 pitch from Pinheiro.
And Dan, I guess one thing right now, we have to thank that he had the shoulder problem in spring training, because that's why we got Loge.
Right. The 2-1 pitch. Can they turn two? Kennedy on to second, back to first, not in time. Our non-defensive plays of the night. We'll start with this one that we've shown. Oh, that's an Exmo. And then
watch this throw. That's a Texas quarterback, huh?
And look at Patterson. He's out there, the center fielder's looking around. What's going on here?
Where'd it go?
That's pulled foul off the bat of Encarnacion. Sergeant Bill Bowman of the St. Peter's Police Department is 55. Happy birthday, Sergeant. Cardinals lead by 7 runs, and Pujols is over 3, and he alone is stranded 7. The Cardinals have a big lead like this. Usually it's because number 5 has done some damage. But if the Cardinals are going to have success, other people around them really have to step it up.
Well, it's so rare when Albert doesn't have a good game, but it is nice that his counterparts know that, that they appreciate his contribution, but they're not totally dependent on it every game. So breaking ball there, doesn't get the call.
I am really glad we cleared up that incident with you and Jim. Boy, that's a relief.
Cleared it up 3 times tonight.
Yep. On the inside corner and a strikeout of Encarnacion. 3rd of the night for Joel Pinheiro.
Backup breaking ball ends up being very effective. You don't want to throw a ball down and in like that in a breaking ball, but they were trying to throw it away and fooled Encarnacion.
Strikeout number 3 on the night. Ryan Howard of the Philadelphia Phillies with 37 Ks already. St. Louis.
Adam Dunn's rooting for him.
It'll be neck and neck. Possibly another kick save by Pinheiro. Are you kidding me? He does it again. Kicked it to short. It's back-to-back games he has done that, and that also includes the kick that he had at Milwaukee a season ago.
I told you he practices it.
That's unbelievable. Midway through 4, all Cardinals tonight. You know, in spring training, when the other pitchers go and they work on covering first base, I think Pinheiro, they just put him on a backfield and he does this.
He uses his footwork. I think he kicks it right to his Turris and he makes the play. Had that sensational one where he flipped in the air last start in Pittsburgh with his foot and caught the ball in the air and then threw him out. Did it all himself. This time he used a little help. He says he practiced that. I mean, how do you practice that? Here, what we're talking about last week, hanging breaking ball, kicks his leg off. That one's off his calf. He tracked it down, caught it in the air, and then threw out the runner at first base.
He said he practices that?
Oh, yeah, he practices that. That was his response when people asked about the play last week.
How sore you would be after a practice session. Wouldn't be able to walk the next day.
Yeah, I gotta say, well, how do you practice? Yeah, the bazooka gun hit line. I've always heard, you kind of a joke during the PFP, the pitchers fielding practice is, charge those line drives. Well, he takes it serious.
Well, the one last week is the best of the bunch.
Yes.
That was the best. But he's got that thing down to a science. And Keel pulls it foul. He's starting to heat up a little bit, Ricky Ankiel. Couple of base hits tonight.
We're home.
There is a lot to be said for Rick Ankiel when he's home and his numbers here at Busch Stadium.
Another happy fan with that foul ball.
He's pumped.
Rick is 6 for 16 on the homestand.
The 2-1 pitch.
100 points difference between his batting average on at home versus road.
I've heard you say it before, and I'm right there with you. You look at his career at home, 15 home runs as opposed to just 3 on the road. A .216 average. I don't think anybody thought he'd be doing what he's doing now, except maybe Walt Jocketty.
Oh, I think Walt, you know, whether Walt was knew he was a great athlete, but I mean, I think Walt would be the first one to tell you he's got to be surprised too.
Then why make that change?
Well, because all the investment you had in him, you know, maybe he would change his mind.
And Keel reaches for it. Long way to go for Griffey, and he won't get there. And that gets away from him. And Keel at second base. He could go to third.
Yeah, he didn't know. He didn't know. He had his head down going into second base, and you know, he knew he could get to second and just assumed that you get in trouble when you start thinking, don't you? But the ball got underneath the glove of Griffey. You see it right here. He's thinking too. He's got the play in front of him, so he knows he can get a double. What he doesn't know is the ball gets away from Griffey, and he has his head down. Watch him go into second base. He's looking straight at the bag, and the play is no one is near the ball, and now he turns around and picks it up, and it's too late.
He would have had a shot at the cycle if he winds up at third base. He's got a double, a single, and now another double. That would have been the triple, and we're only in the fourth. Frank Thomas had a triple last night. Frank Thomas in a place very similar to that.
But I think it was his 12th triple. And I think the only guy that's been a member of the 500 home run club with fewer triples in his career than 12 is 6 by Big Mac.
Is that right? Our Firestone in-game box score. Tommy, our fine director, brings up an interesting point. If he goes to third, they probably give Griffey an air.
Possibility, you know. Griffey's already got one error, but that might have been, they might have said that, you know, that was one continuous play and he just missed it on the first shot. Would have been interesting to find out.
1-1 pitch. Gloss has had a big night along with Ankiel. These two guys always talking about protection behind Pujols. They've done that tonight.
Put it this way, I don't think Griffey would have argued if they gave Ankiel a triple.
No.
With the possibility of hitting for the cycle.
He'll have his fair share of triples. And with his speed and gap power that he's got. Gloss high in the air. Left field. And of course he's got the power to hit it over the fence too. And lots of it. That's the first out.
Now Kendo says that Dunn has a strong arm, plays shallow, but he was running out into kind of right center, and so he'd have to throw across his body, and it looked like Oquendo really wanted Ankiel to tag up. A lot of times a 7-0 game, you know, Pinheiro was running on a pitch, up 7-0. You know, you kind of don't want the Reds to think like you're piling her on.
This is still a long way to go in this game.
Well, and that's a good point, Dan, because, you know, you sit there and you say that the unwritten rules, you kind of back off a little bit, but we've seen so many high-scoring games. What lead is safe?
That catches the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Couple strikeouts already for Duncan. Looks like he's not comfortable against this lefty. Keep that front shoulder in, try to drive the ball the opposite field. Easier said than done. Hope for a mistake, something that you can turn on if it's on the inside.
One and two the count.
Al was a former hitting coach for Cincinnati Reds a while back. He's proud of his boys and their 11 hits in this one.
It's the anniversary of the meltdown of Lee Elia. And Al McRae had a meltdown in Kansas City.
Really?
A famous one.
And one of the nicest writers in all of Kansas City. You know, part of that tirade, he threw the phone or something, and it just accidentally hit this one writer who would be the last guy that Al wouldn't want to even raise his voice to.
3-2. I get a kick out of Al.
Oh,
that's your former teammate,
he was
too.
a teammate. I'll tell you one thing. There wasn't too many middle infielders that liked him.
Boy, he went hard in the second.
He and George Brett were the two best I ever saw, leaving the batter's box thinking it was a double. And they made middle infielders pay for it. They both end up hurting their shoulders, but they got a lot of payback on infielders at second base. Hard-nosed player.
We had that Exmo camera in Kansas City. I'll never forget when Scott Rowland took out 2 in Kansas City.
Young kids look at it and say, what is this?
Exactly.
Good at bat.
Very good at bat as he spoiled some of those 3-2 pitches. And now Dusty Baker looks like he'll make a double switch here.
Yep. He's got Josh Fogg warming up. He's coming in.
Well, Fogg was getting loose in the first inning. So that'll be it for Bray. Fogg will come in to face Yadier Molina. 7-0 St. Louis. Brain Looper, Aaron Harang tomorrow afternoon. Our What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light keeps it coming, and we're on the air tomorrow at 11. We have to question whether or not Junior will be in that lineup tomorrow with the day game following the night game. The age of 38, trying to make sure he stays healthy and fresh in that lineup. Always a treat when Ken Griffey Jr. comes through St. Louis. Remember that exhibition, the Cardinals, a long time. The old
right
stadium.
after the strike.
Yeah, back in 94, 95. Ken Griffey Jr. was in St. Louis. And that was before interleague play, which I think you and I are both a fan of, but we don't understand the scheduling. We head to
You
Boston.
may be a little more of a fan than I am of it.
Oh, you're falling apart on this? You don't like it anymore? This could be 2 here. Barehanded by Phillips, and the turn 6-4-3. We head to the 5th. 7-0 St. Louis. Joel Pinheiro finishing up his warm-up tosses prior to this 5th inning, and we remind you it's U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live coming up after baseball game 2 between the Cardinals and the Reds here on FSN Midwest. Nice night for baseball. Not as cold as last night, but still a little bit chilly. Cardinals with 11 hits. Pinheiro's only allowed 1. And it's 7-0. It'll be Baco, Hatteberg, who is part of the double switch, and then Corey Patterson, the top of the lineup for Cincinnati. Troy Gloss in over at third, and the first pitch is taken for a ball. Looper and Harang. Looper was terrific in his last start, which was on Friday night. 7 innings, only 2 hits. But the bullpen couldn't hold it up. Slapped out to left, and the catch made by Duncan. Hilton St. Louis at the ballpark, the only hotel that gives you home field advantage and an extraordinary experience for Cardinals baseball. Number to call is 421-1776 for hotel and ticket packages. Johnny Cueto making his debut here in St. Louis. And we were looking forward to it, but didn't see much of them.
Cardinal fans were looking forward to it, and they were very pleased as he had his worst major league outing. Eddie Berg, very good offensive player. Doesn't have a lot of power, but he's a nice player to have on your ball club, especially if you're a winning team.
April 29th, the Cardinals already playing in game number 28. We played a lot here in this first month.
Only one off day in April. An awful lot of home games. They'll be welcoming that off day on Thursday. So will Paul Bacco. That will signify 10 years in the big leagues for Bacco.
Fully vested.
Yeah.
10 years.
Fully vested. 10 years in the big leagues. You get all your pension time and you max out. It's a little different. The last time I was really familiar with it, when I first started playing, you maxed out at 20 years, but you had to have 5 years in the big leagues to be vested. And then it dropped down to 4 years. Now it's 10 years you max out, and 1 day of major league service you qualify for a pension. It's prorated. 1 day is of 172. 172 days constitute a year.
Slowly hit to Pinheiro. And that's out number 2.
Very cool, Dan.
I just passed Al a note and we'll keep it between us.
That is good.
This Guy Out telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
But it got to a point where, you had guys like, Willie Stargell, and some of these guys that were, great players and had 20 years of playing service. Then they got into coaching, and by the current standards, their pension went down, or was to go down.
That's right at the second baseman, Adam Kennedy. And Patterson is 1 for 3. Midway through 5, and it's 7-0 St. Louis. Cardinal baseball brought to you by Rico. Move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. By your local St. Louis Chrysler dealers. And by Jack in the Box. We don't make it until you order it. The banks of the Mississippi in downtown St. Louis. I'm Dan McLaughlin alongside Al Raboski. Bottom of the 5th, and here's Joel Pinheiro. 7-0 Cardinals. Pinheiro has allowed just 1 hit.
I pitched very effectively. Even found a walk tonight.
Hit to short for the first out. Pinheiro, Izturis, and Schumacher.
Josh Fogg, who started the season in the rotation, got roughed up a little bit, and then he's been in the bullpen. Buddy clapping there. And there's a joke we aren't sure about, is there? Oh, he's shaking his hand. Guys might not find it so funny when it's his pitching hand.
Let's see, his last start was against Pittsburgh. He struck out 3 times and walked.
Maybe he made contact.
I'm thinking that's what it is.
First time this year?
That's what I'm thinking. He has struck out tonight, walked, and grounded out to short. Izturis up the middle, base hit, right back at Fogg. And that's 2 base hits for Izturis, who's now above 200.
Yeah. Pinheiro had struck out every time. He was 0 for 8 with 8 strikeouts. So that's what they were talking about. And Izturis, I think he knocked the bill of the cap of Fogg.
Cardinal ticket auctions at STLCardinals.com. The Cubs are coming to town, and good seats still remain Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Remember, Sunday is the national ESPN game, so Fox Saturday baseball, and then Sunday night ESPN.
Boy, marketing department very creative this year.
Ticket auctions.
Yeah.
Was the 1-0 to Skip Schumacher, and Skip, his 3rd base hit. Izturis to second, he stops there. Skip Schumacher is 3 for 4. We were a little concerned at the first week of the season watching Skip Schumacher, but he is a different player. He's relaxed and just really hitting the baseball well.
0 for 16, putting too much pressure on himself, and now he's relaxed. And there's another play from a year ago, night and day.
Kennedy is 2 for 2 with a walk, couple of runs scored.
Average up to 324 with 9 RBIs.
1 out, runners at first and second as we play here in the bottom of the 5th.
It's half the RBIs he had a year ago.
Half.
Half.
Wow.
Meaning he had 18 for your Biani math.
Thank you. So he's got 9.
Very good, Dan. Of course, I saw you use the calculator.
You could see a situation where Pujols could come up with the bases loaded again. 1 ball, 1 strike on Kennedy. Albert has had runners on every time up so far tonight.
Not 1-2 in the order. Only been retired once tonight.
Kennedy lines it foul. Cardinals with 13 hits overall with runners in scoring position. We talked about it. The season 270. Tonight, though, they are 5 for 12.
Johnny Cueto really had his worst start, and you could see his electric stuff, but the Cardinals had the best of him. And you get in this part of the just about anybody's bullpen. You get in there early and you can get some damage.
Foul back.
And Dan, you get a game like this, you know, hitting becomes contagious. Every spot in the order has been on base at least once, except for Alberts. What's the chance of that?
0 for 3. Popped out in the 3rd. Look out. Pujols on tonight. He alone, he is stranded 7.
Kennedy, they're just playing him straight away now. He's starting to spray the ball around.
The 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Runners at first and second. 7-0 Cardinals. Redbirds with 3 in the first, 4 in the second. Josh Fogg with Pittsburgh, the White Sox.
Colorado last year.
Right. Very good postseason now with Cincinnati.
Last year he had 10 wins, and 8 of those 10 were against teams that ended up in postseason. And he's been a 10-game winner pretty much throughout his career.
Kennedy strikes out.
Albert, you know how mentally tough he is, and all he has to do is just sit there and visualize Fogg in a Pittsburgh uniform.
At PNC Park.
Yeah, PNC Park and Pittsburgh uniform for Josh Fogg, and look out.
And what we are referencing is Pujols' numbers against the Pirates and at PNC. Against Fogg,
see, that's what I told you. Look,
there you go. 3 home runs. He's struck out 5 times against this right-hander. The 0-1 pitch. There's a front page sports article in USA Today on Manny Ramirez. He's closing in on 500. And Al, you just don't get there without having a game plan. They always say Manny being Manny. It made me think about Pujols and his game plan that he applies to every at-bat, night in and night out. But Manny Ramirez is a remarkable hitter. We'll see him later this summer, but As we talked about last night, managers were asked about the most feared hitter in baseball, and they said Pujols.
And it wasn't even close.
On 2-1, let's see what Albert can do here. Hits a rope out to center, and the catch is made. So Pujols slings his helmet back towards the dugout. 7-0 Cardinals. Ball was scorched. Let's go pitch by pitch, brought to you by Chevrolet.
Kind of gets ahead of him. Albert looking at that first pitch. Then he kind of sweeping, breaking ball out away. Tries to work inside. Doesn't get there. And then fastball right down, just line. And Patterson backs up on it. Stranded 9 tonight, 0 for 4. How rare is that? But a big Cardinals 7-0 lead.
And the first pitch to start the top of the 6th is taken for a ball from by Jeff Keppinger from Joel Pinheiro. Happy birthday to Cheryl Rock, watching tonight in Eureka on FSN Midwest. Keppinger is 0 for 1 and walked back in the first. 2 balls and no strikes, and Pinheiro has only allowed just 1 base hit, and that's line to Troy Gloss.
There's back-to-back line drives to end the 5th inning, and now to start out here in the 6th. This is kind of the area where you start looking at Pinheiro's pitch count, and you try to kind of watch out. He's only allowed 1 hit. He has walked 4. But, you know, sometimes if you make someone aware of the fact that pitch count gets around 75 pitches and you start having trouble. You know, line shot. Look at the spin. Not quite a knuckleball spin, but this is kind of where, you know, if sometimes maybe a pitching coach makes a pitcher aware that, hey, you struggle for a little bit at this point. You really need to bear down.
Pulled foul, 0-2 on Junior, who is 0 for 2. He's 2 for 3 coming into play tonight against Joel Pinheiro. On the all-century team, Ken Griffey Jr.
Remember the all Rawlings Gold Glove team.
10 Gold Gloves. Patrolling center field, now moved to right, and that just happened last year. Previous management wanted Ryan Friel in center field, so they moved Griffey to right. In the air out to left center. Duncan will make the catch. 2 outs, and it brings in Brandon Phillips.
Hitting the ball hard, but right at a fielder, so keep on riding it. Their 1 hit that they have was off the bat of Corey Patterson to lead off this game.
It was a single and then a walk.
And it was kind of a blue pit in shallow center field.
And Al, after that, it was the double steal with the strikeout of Junior, but then possibly the play of the game, the base running mistake that Keppinger would make. And this is the only base hit that Pinheiro has allowed, the first hit in the game.
Just a little blooper that Ankiel's coming in, but falls in front of him. Then he walked the next man, and you go, uh-oh. But a weird double play ended the first.
Phillips is swinging a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brandon Phillips tonight was part of that odd play and then walked in the 4th.
Phillips hit that ball, but brain cramp by Keppinger.
He's coming off a couple of home runs Sunday against Barry Zito. As we mentioned, Zito has been put now into the bullpen for San Francisco. The thing is about San Francisco, they don't have many options in about 9 or 10 days. And they'll probably have to move him back into the rotation.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to put a $126 million 7-year contract in the 3rd year into the bullpen.
He has $116 million left on that deal. It's backloaded.
Oh, well then, you know.
Now you feel better.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you feel better.
I told you.
Troy Gloss to his left. Good play.
It's about time they start paying left-handed relievers.
1-2-3. Pinheiro in a group tonight. 7-0 Cardinals. Bottom of of the 6 rolls in here at Busch Stadium. Ricky Ankiel, Troy Gloss, and Chris Duncan. Ankiel, a big night, a couple of doubles. He has 3 doubles in this series, a home run, 3 RBIs, and he is 5 for 8. From the 1st through the 13th, he was hitting .286. Out to right, Griffey is over to make the catch. The middle part of this month is when he struggled. We were on the road. He hit .184, but is picking it up again. This just won an Emmy Award last night. Sports Science. And you can see Sports Science examine the hardest hits this Sunday at 9, only on FSN Midwest. And Keel retired for the first time, and here's Troy Gloss. 3 RBIs tonight. 21 on the year.
Takes over the team lead.
Pujols at 20. Second inning, Troy Gloss. And the misplay coming up from Adam Dunn.
Double and plates 2. And there's the bad throw or missed throw that allowed him to circle the bases. And a single and RBI in the first inning. 2 in the second. I gave the Cardinals their 7-0 lead. Cardinals have won 7 of the last 9 games played here at Busch Stadium.
And they're 10-6 here at home. The Reds are 6-7 on the road.
Kind of surprises you, doesn't it? 7 out of the last 9.
Yeah, very much so. I don't know if Zito is going to wind up being the worst contract. How about Mike Hampton? Make a case for that one too.
Well, but Zito is at least out pitching.
And that's what I mean. At least he's healthy enough to go. Before it's all said and done.
I kind of look at it the other way. I think that, you know, because Hampton always had legitimate injuries, but it's hard to swallow either one of them.
I did some of the numbers the other day on Mike Hampton. Before it's all said and done, he's going to wind up missing, roughly guessing here, about 100 to 105 starts.
So, you know, it's 3 years.
Exactly. 3 years plus, probably. Figured 30, 35 starts. And he got $121 million. I remember Cardinal fans were clamoring for Mike Hampton, me being one of them. I thought this guy would be perfect. And they weren't even close to the $121 million that he got. And Florida has paid a good chunk of that contract.
Yes.
And he never pitched for the Marlins.
No, that contract was given by Colorado. Atlanta's got very little. Remember, warming up this year.
Pitcher has to cover, and not in time. Duncan aboard with 2 outs.
Generously score that a base hit. Beyond the reach of Hattiesburg, but Phillips, who's got great range but had trouble holding on to it, couldn't find the handle. And as I said, once again, generously scored a base hit.
Dusty Baker in Chicago took a lot of heat over how he handled Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood. And some people have said, all right, is he the right guy to handle a young pitching staff with the Cincinnati Reds? I look at it, hey, he's been in this thing for 15 years and had a great playing career. Yeah, he's fine with it.
Yeah, and look at the size of those guys. You know, those are big men that, you know, so you expect, and power guys, they can handle a bigger workload.
Pryor now is San Diego. Wood is the closer in Chicago. Five outs away from the World Series with Dusty Baker as their manager. Hit to short and a force play as they flip to Phillips. And it's 7-0 after 6 here at Busch Stadium. Geico quote. We're just talking about Dusty Baker and Tony La Russa. A manager is a necessary evil, from Sparky Anderson. Over 1,100 wins for Dusty, 2,300 plus for Tony La Russa.
Tony third on the all-time win list, and he just put in Brendan Ryan at third base. So with the 7-0 lead, you get a good chance to give Brendan a little time out there. He's going to spell Troy Gloss. You can spell with Turris, or Kennedy was, say, a left-hander going.
Still, Pujols is in there.
Well, Troy had a good offensive night. So Brendan takes over, and Albert's still wanting to at least reach base.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Dunn rips it into right, and is that a catch? Yes, it is.
Yep.
Schumacher comes up with it.
He was fooled, but he recovered. The ball hit extremely hard. We're talking about the ball hit right at you. Hard to get a gauge whether it's going to go over your head or whether it's going to be a sinking line drive. Hit hard right on the nose, and Skip kind of held his ground for a second, and then he comes in on it and uses 2 hands to make sure when he hits the ground it doesn't pop out. So a nice catch.
Here's Encarnacion with a look at the catch in the X mode.
Watch the bare hand go in there to make sure that it stays in the glove.
Norm Bure, happy birthday, watching in Oakville tonight on FSN Midwest. Down the left field line, and that is pulled foul. Cardinals with 3 runs in the first, 2 in the second, 14 hits on the night. They lead at 7-0. Pinheiro only 1 hit allowed. Encarnacion broke his bat.
On the Cardinal owners, John Wallace finally found the broadcast booth. They don't see John Wallace enough.
Mulder will make a rehab start tomorrow. Mark Mulder halfway through his 30 days, and
wouldn't hurt if he stayed the entire 30 days.
Brad Thompson has had elbow irritation, so he was put on the DL.
Yeah, they voided his option to Memphis and put him on the disabled list.
Good pitch, popped up. And this will be Kennedy. He puts it away for out number 2. This is Derek, one of our favorites, who works here at the ballpark and helps us out every home game here at Busch Stadium. There's a look at Derek.
Check your ID, Derek.
He's always smiling, always saying hello.
He won't look down. He won't look down.
Except the other night when he kicked you out of a parking spot. Mr. Wallace was coming through.
Well, Derek always takes care of me. I am Mr. Wallace's designated driver. He can tell you that about that in the break.
Here is Brendan Ryan, comes up with it over third. Derek from New Orleans. Relocated here to St. Louis. 7-0 Cardinals midway through 7. Time to stretch. Sarah Hawkins is tonight's merchandise winner. The Hyundai Long Drive inning sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run this inning, the bottom of the 7th, Sarah Hawkins qualifies for the Hyundai Sonata drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. This was about 10 minutes ago, Al, that Tony La Russa had already made his mind up that this is going to be it for Pinheiro. He walks down to Brian Barton and says, all right, get yourself ready, get ready to go. So plenty of time to prepare, get loose, warm up, go hit off the tee. They've got the cages down there if he wants to do that. He can also go study video of this pitcher, but plenty of warning for Brian Barton.
Well, and you got 7 great innings. Shutout innings from your starter, Joel Pinheiro. He only allowed 1 hit. He walked 4, but got strong as went along. He retired the last 12 in a row.
Got to the ballpark early today, and For those of us that are lucky enough to do this job, you see some things that you normally don't see when they open up the gates, and the extra work that's put in, and that means Brian Barton. And Barton has been working very hard with Dave McKay. He strokes this one out to left, but the other day, as Ron Vallone is getting loose for the Cardinals, the other day he was actually taking the ground balls at shortstop to work on charging and the proper footwork. And this is with Dave McKay, the Cardinals' first base coach, who works with the outfielders. And then today they had him out in left, charging and then making the throw to the plate.
Well, it's the same thing, you know. So you're trying to, you know, do it on a smaller scale, and then you repeat it out there in the outfield. But that's the one thing, you know, he's a Rule 5 player, and we're all excited about his progress. But you know, he's willing to put in the time. Coaches put in unbelievable time today. You know, there used to be times where some coaches were on the bus and they worked today.
Popped up. Your buddy Ted Simmons couldn't believe it. How much work he has to put in with Ned Yost and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, he knows, you know, but it's like you just see it every day.
It's Loge, Wainwright, Pinheiro, and Todd Wellemeyer, the starters for St. Louis.
Well, we saw how these guys all get together and talk about it, and you know, go over a game plan. And Adam was outstanding last time. Pinheiro equal to the task here tonight. Wellemeyer got better as the game went along yesterday.
3 hits on the night for Skip Schumacher. Could he get a Hungo Award? 35,356 tonight.
Well, you know how much time we put into that selection. Pinheiro, Wainwright, you know, Ankiel, Gloss, Schumacher's 3 for 4.
Especially on the road. After games, you and I will leave the hotel, hunker down, and figure out exactly what we need to do to start paring it down.
That expense account gets worked over.
You have the Jack Donovan credit card at Fox Sports Net.
No, Jack doesn't know about it.
You just start running that up, and happy that you do. I'm right there with you. 2-2 pitch.
Yeah, I noticed how your wallet has been inflated or deflated.
I needed $2 tonight.
You borrowed $2 from the crew, right?
Brian McCann felt like John Cusack in the movie Better Off Dead, where the kid's chasing and wanting $2. I needed to borrow my $2. You know that movie.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to show you the FSN Midwest Suite to break, so that's going to make sure that well, it'll keep you on the edge of your seat as we head to the 8th, trying to figure out who's in there tonight. The next two, Schumacher. Hard hit, and will that be a base hit? If it is, it's number 4 tonight.
8 up. Keppinger, the young shortstop, who's very flashy with the glove, and they scored a base hit. So 4-hit game for Schumacher. He had the day off yesterday, and like I said, you know, a lot of these guys been a long grind with only 1 day off, and they'll welcome the day off on Thursday. But you can see just what it's done for Skip's game, just having a day off.
Sometimes, I guess, Al, that's, you know, all you need if you're an everyday player, just to get that 1 day off, kind of recharge the batteries.
And it's not a career high, as you can see. He had a 5-hit game last September 30.
And a ground ball hit to Phillips. We had played 7. The Fox Suite here at the ballpark. As we head to break, the FSN Suite enjoying some baseball tonight. Let's take a look at tonight's game, a recap. And it's brought to you by Jack in the Box. Cardinals are on pace to draw over 3.2 million fans this season. And that right there, folks, was the play of the game. Rick Ankiel, a big night. A couple of doubles, 3 RBIs. Middle of the lineup has done some damage. Ankiel, Gloss, and yet Pujols an 0 for night and yet to reach base, trying to make it 28 straight. Pujols is due up first in the bottom of this 8th inning. 7-0 Cardinals. And Ron Vallone goes to work against Paul Bacco.
Vallone's been a nice addition. Made the team as a non-roster player. ERA just over 4, and excuse me, 1.04.
There's 97 total pitches for Pinheiro. So he did a great job tonight.
Yeah, Pinheiro was great. Vallone has done a nice job to this point. He's, whether it's situational lefties or extending them out, like he pitched 3 shutout innings the other day.
2-1 pitch. Got Randy Flores from the left side, and we've seen some odd base running plays from Cincinnati in this series. It was with Flores on the mound last night that Phillips was running from first with the bases loaded. It would have been a sure base hit, it looked like, off the bat of Dunn. Then he was running and hit by the baseball. So he was out, and there's a strikeout for Vallone. And as I mentioned before, if you missed it, the play of the game undoubtedly tonight, the ball that Phillips hit towards third.
Hit to third. They got the lead runner in a rundown. It was Patterson. Molina ran him back to third base. Coppinger, the second runner, was on second. He ran to third base, and right before Patterson stepped on the third base bag, he peeled off the dugout, and Keppinger went back to second. So they got the double play on both of them.
Left center, who wants it? Duncan. 2 outs. Here's what we're talking about.
Hard to describe, but better to watch. You got second and third. They get the runner Patterson in a rundown. Now Molina runs you back. Keppinger is at second base. You see him run out of the baseline, and then for whatever reason, Keppinger goes back to second base. They get him in a rundown, and there's that 4-hit artist right there. Is Schumacher, the right fielder, part of the rundown play. And this tourist finally tags him out to end the inning.
And how did it go? I got the 5-2.
It went 5-2, 4-2, 9-6.
Routine. Fastball and a strike to Corey Patterson.
And Corey, Keppinger just stays at the bag. Corey, peeled off, but for whatever reason, then Keppinger took off and went back to second. Patterson was ruled out of running out of the baseline. He was just accepting the fact that he's out and running back to the dugout. And those were the first 2 batters. It was 1 down at that point.
Patterson, a ground ball to second.
The only hit of the game was off the batter Patterson to lead off the game.
Good work by Ron Vallone here in the 8th. Albert is coming up when we come back. Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest from Busch Stadium is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. And by Chevrolet. See for yourself, shop and compare at STLChevy.com. Many thanks for being with us tonight here on FSN Midwest. Al Raboski alongside. I'm Dan McLaughlin. 15-hit attack for the Cardinals. Final chance here for Albert Pujols. And the pitch is taken for a ball.
Hit a couple balls hard, particularly the last time up. And he hit one pop-up that, if we had a dome, it would have hit it.
And even though that Cueto lasted 4 2/3, Dusty has been able to, for the most part, to save his bullpen. You got Bray and Fogg now, just 2 out of that bullpen to keep on going. So an inning and 2/3 for Cueto. People could see sometimes what happens up here in the booth.
I don't know what you're talking about. see this base hit on the 2-1 pitch.
Talking about big dog. His behavior up here. Tim Garcia. 3-1.
At the very least, Albert's in position to extend his reaching base in every game played this year.
And there it is. It's extended now at the walk.
For 28 straight games, he's reached base. That is his 29th walk to lead the major leagues.
So here is Ann Keel. It's going to be it for Pujols, and Ludwig will pinch run. So 28 straight to start this season to reach base. Richard, Alexander, and Keel. Rick Ankiel digs in.
Albert loses his hitting streak, but reaching base continues. And he's got a full inning to rest.
Full inning. Quick turnaround. Popped up. Keppinger. The outfield grass. Back at it tomorrow, 11 a.m. with the pregame show here on FSN.
Brendan Ryan will get his first plate appearance.
Tony always talks about it, the fact that you know, you accumulate wins. You try not to dwell too much on the wins or the losses. You try to win series, but never put too much emphasis on just one game or one series. Accumulate wins.
Dan, I had a manager one time that said play 500 and then win on Sunday, and you beat 26 games over 500.
It's tough to go 26-0 on Sundays.
Well, but every now and then you're going to sneak in a win during the week too.
You would hope that would be the case.
But the thought is to, even if you play, win 4 out of every 7 games, you end up 26 games over 500.
Come on down to the ballpark tomorrow.
That was a manager. That was about the only thing I bought into. Vern Rapp.
I knew it. I could have guessed it. Force play at second. They'll get the runner there. What were those conversations with Vern like for you, Al?
Well, it was. I'm man enough to say I could have changed things and handled things a little differently, but.
Hell. Proud of you, Al. This change of heart. Lee Elia and now you.
Oh,
I mean, what's going on here?
No. I mean, I remember one time I had an article with the paper, and they said, "How are things going?" I said, "Things are going really well. I've had 4 appearances on the mound and 3 in his office." That got number 4 in the office.
One ball, one strike. Just missed inside to Duncan, who's hitting .286, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs.
And now the truck tells me that Vern Rapp lied to me. Said it's only 92 wins.
Coming up after the game on U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, we are going to go back and break down that 5-2-4-2-9-6 double play back in the first inning. Plus, what do Johnny Cueto and Bob Gibson have in common? That plus Unplugged with Tony La Russa and the Cardinals clubhouse post-game reaction following the game. Guys, not my night. First of all, Al betrays me, and then I got fans here heckling me, asking where Jimmy Hayes is. So not the best one I've had so far here in April, guys.
What did you do to Brent? Al, I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it. Till you said that you had some issues. As Reyes comes up with the first pitch right back at him.
At the beginning of the season, he wanted me to team up with himself and then you and Cat. And I did it for a while, and then Cat got very upset about it. So now I've just turned the tables, and I've betrayed him.
And that's the way it goes.
Betrayed the young man.
He's going to have to earn your trust, isn't he, Al?
Yep. Now Griffey looking for his first hit. The Reds are looking for their first hit since the leadoff batter of this game.
They have had some hard hit balls, but that's the game of baseball, right at a lot of those fielders for St. Louis.
Outstanding pitching from Pinheiro. Got out of that, distracted himself from that jam in the first. And it's been all Cardinal offense since then, but very good pitching from Pinheiro for 7. Malone was outstanding in his 1 inning. And Reyes off to a good start.
A 2-0 pitch to Griffey. Hot shot is Torres. Nice play.
What were you saying?
And got it.
That almost decapitated Anthony Reyes and ends up in the glove of Torres.
Wow. Joel Pinheiro is our Budweiser player of the game. Budweiser, the great American lager. And it's tonight's starter, Joel Pinheiro. Al.
Well, he goes out there 7 innings, only struck out 3, but he was dominant. He walked 4, but just allows the 1 hit, a leadoff hit to Patterson, and no more. Look in position for his second win in a row.
And the Cardinals now an out away.
Just right after you said something about hard hit balls, but right at people. Good thing Pinheiro didn't try to do his little magic on that one. And good thing Reyes ducked.
The 0-1 pitch. And that's a base hit. I know, Al, we're only about a month into this seeing Reyes work out of the bullpen, but this might be the role that he's best suited for.
Well, I like him better in this role. And, you know, there's nothing wrong. He's still young. He's 26 years of age. There's nothing wrong for him to pitch a year out of the bullpen and then make a reassessment after that. See if he belongs there. But, you know, he's got big league stuff. Only going through the order 1 time.
It's done a big cut and fouled back. The Cubs are trailing tonight 7-4 to Milwaukee. So if things stay the same, the Cardinals could wake up at first place.
Milwaukee is added to that. It's now 9-4 in the bottom of the 7th.
He'd be tied with Chicago atop the National League Central Division. The 0-1 pitch, strike 2.
Be a lot of fun if we could.
Sure would.
Playing for first place this weekend.
Even though it's early, it adds to it.
Oh, sure. Anytime you're facing the Cubs, you're having fun. But you're starting to build these little rivalries with several clubs in the division now.
0-2 pitch. Done. Out to deep right center field. Ankiel is back, and it's gone. And Cincinnati finally on the board. A 2-run shot by Dunn, his 4th. Came on an 0-2 pitch.
0-2. You have to assume he got a little more of the plate than what he wanted. Big, strong. Anthony Reyes, last time I had pitched since Wednesday when they got 3 runs, and that ball really up over the middle of the plate, and Ankiel runs out of real estate. Just an error in location, and these hitters are too good at this level. Izzy is thrown in the bullpen just to get some work in. He hasn't pitched since what, Friday.
2-0. Hero from last night, Encarnacion. Two balls, 1 strike. .404 feet, the estimated distance of the Dunn home run, his 4th. 2 strikes now, 2-2.
Encarnacion's got some pop, but don't make a mistake to him. A breaking ball down. Don't want to walk anybody. Valentin is on deck if Encarnacion can extend it.
3-2 pitch. It'll find the seats behind home plate.
Ludwig is out in left field, by the way, and Duncan over at first.
The 3-2 pitch. Liner, and that's the ball game. The Cardinals win it 7-2. Reyes gives up the home run here in the ninth, but the Cardinals win it by the score of 7-2. And a big night for Skip Schumacher with 4 hits. 15 for the Redbirds. Post-game show is coming up.
The game is over with a lopsided Cardinal victory over the Reds. Rick, your quick thoughts on this one?
Well, very nice outing for Pinheiro, and the Cardinals again showing their resiliency. There are guys that go into slumps, but the team has not gone into a slump all year long. They just always seem to come back after tough losses.
We're going to talk more about that. Plus, we will talk about the start by Joel and Pinheiro, just his 4th start of the season, in fact. Could he build on last week's outing? Well, he certainly did. And Adam Kennedy in the 2-hole for Tony La Russa. What's next for the manager in the ever-changing lineup? Plus, we'll go all access inside the Cardinals clubhouse. Bring you La Russa's post-game press conference. Don't go anywhere. U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live is next.